Thanks for joining us for Baptist Press this week, sponsored by the College at Southeastern. I'm Brandon Porter. The population in the U.S. is becoming more diverse, and it's reflected in the SBC. This year's annual meeting in New Orleans may be the most diverse meeting in the convention's history. One of the reasons this is true is because of the work of the Great Commission Relations and Mobilization team. In this episode of Baptist Press This Week, we'll introduce you to some of the members of that team and ask them for a preview of New Orleans. Thanks for joining us for Baptist Press This Week. Well, Dr. McLaren, thanks for joining us for Baptist Press This Week.
My pleasure.
Yeah, you came to the executive committee in 2019 to lead the Great Commission Relations and Mobilization team. I know that your roles changed a little bit today versus that, but that's initially what brought you to the EC. Tell us a little bit about that team and about your role leading it.
Hey, Brandon, thanks so much. I'd be glad to do that. You know, the name of the team in and of itself is a pretty long name. Great Commission Relations and Mobilization, and the name in and of itself just really says it all. Great Commission, we're all about winning people here at home and around the world. Relationships, it's about lengthening, strengthening, and deepening relationships. And the mobilization side is about mobilizing every church in the life of the Southern Baptist Convention. And so we were fortunate to be able to bring what we believe to be some experts on our team. So we have an African-American associate vice president, an Asian associate vice president, and a Hispanic associate vice president. And those men are just coming alongside their diasporas and just strengthening the relationships among the pastors and the churches. And then they're strengthening those relationships for a specific purpose, that they be mobilized in every area of Southern Baptist life. And we're incredibly grateful that the Lord has given us this opportunity to be able to have a team like that serving at the national level.
Yeah. What are some successes? How has that team been successful over these last 3.5 years?
Well, what people will know is that part of our vision as a convention is kind of this Revelation 7:9, where there's every nation, every tongue, every kindred, and every tribe. And so some of the things we've seen, number one, have just been a higher level of missional engagement. And what we have seen statistically is we've seen cooperative program giving significantly increase from our ethnically and racially diverse churches. And so we praise the Lord for that. And so that's a real tangible way that we're seeing. The other thing that we're seeing in terms of missional engagement is when you look at our church planting, 6 out of the 10 churches that have been planted, 60% of those churches are ethnically and racially diverse. And we believe that just the work that this team is involved in is influencing those type of numbers. Another thing that we're seeing is what I call relational vitality. And what I mean by that is when you have an African American, an Asian, and Hispanic, and maybe an Anglo brother sitting at the table together, they're able to have real conversations. They're able to understand each other's culture, understand each other's context, and that's multiplying itself across the country. One of the things that our guys engage in is they engage in 3 levels of ministry. Now, they are connectors, and so they're connecting ethnic pastors and churches to resources across the scope of our convention. They are catalysts, and so when they see areas where there needs to be something started, they are being catalytic. They may not start that work, but they are catalytic. For instance, we're trying to get more ethnic pastors engaged in international missions. And so one of the things that our team has been instrumental in doing is connecting pastors with the International Mission Board so that pastors can begin the journey of taking their very first mission trip. And then the other thing that they're doing is they're providing coaching. Sometimes pastors don't know who to believe or what to believe, or just don't have clarity and direction on how things are done. So our guys are coming alongside pastors and churches. But the real next level success for this team is that as these guys are quote unquote subject matter experts, they're coming alongside our national agencies. They're coming alongside our state conventions and our associations, and they're providing the coaching that they need to be able to help them understand culture and context so they can be effective in doing ministry in their own harvest fields.
Yeah, that's good. So then as we think about the harvest field, we also think about a time when we come together as Southern Baptists, and that's scheduled to happen in just a few weeks in New Orleans. Do you think the progress that's being made by the team will be evident as Southern Baptists gather in New Orleans?
Brandon, I'm so thrilled about what's going to take place in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm thrilled about that because back in 2012, I had a front row seat when we experienced a historical moment when Fred Luter, the pastor of Franklin Avenue Baptist Church, was elected as the very first African-American president of our convention. I'll never forget that day. I was serving on the staff of the Tennessee Baptist Mission Board. My daughter at the time was 7 years old, and I am crying my eyes out because of that historical moment. She didn't have a clue what was going on, and I was hopeful to have her there, that she'll be a part of the generations in the future that would see the benefits of that. And so this year, I'm going to bring my 7-year-old daughter, who is now 20, back to New Orleans, and she's going to get to be back at the place where historical moment took place back in 2012. I absolutely believe the diversity of the Southern Baptist Convention is going to be on full display in New Orleans. We're going to see it throughout the entire Southern Baptist Convention annual meeting that will take place on Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to see it throughout the Pastors Conference. There's a diversity of leaders who are going to be on the main platform. And then there are just dozens of ethnic events that are going to take place throughout our time together. I know the Asia Fellowship is going to have something, the National African American Fellowship. And just being in the city of New Orleans, that city is just a diverse city in and of itself. And so I think Baptists showing up there, we're going to see a picture of heaven on earth as we gather in New Orleans for our annual meeting for 2023.
So here at the College of Southeastern, we are equipping students to give their lives for the cause of Christ in the church, among the nations, and in every aspect of society. So the College of Southeastern is not just a Bible college. While the Bible is the foundation for all of our degrees and even all of our courses, we're going to equip students in a variety of fields so that they can give their lives for the cause of Christ in any number of different ways.
In the context that we have here, the kind of education that we have here is not a choosing between a really good education versus a Christian education. I think the best education possible is one that holds Christ at the center, who is the truth and the way and the life.
I would stack our graduates up against any university graduates. They really receive a well-rounded education, a tough education, but at the same time, really being filled up with learning to live out the gospel.
Truly, everything we do is to equip students to give their lives for Christ's cause, in the church, among the nations, and every aspect of society. When you leave this place, you really do look more like Jesus. If you want your life to be that, then you need to be here.
Charles Grant is a member of the Great Commission Relations and Mobilization team. Charles, thanks for joining us for Baptist Press this week.
You're welcome. Glad to be with you.
Yeah, you've been with the group since August of 2020. I wonder if you'd share with us a little bit about what the work's been like over these last few years.
Yes, over the past few years, the work has involved building relationships for mobilization in all of the Southern Baptist Convention life. That has entailed encouraging churches to position themselves missionally, to be involved in evangelism, church planting, international missions, administratively positioning themselves to be able to serve on our convention committees and serving as trustees, even serving at the association and state level committee levels, as well as being positioned to give to the cooperative program. The work has entailed elevating and accelerating the work of our fellowships, state conventions, and entities. Most recently, through the work, the creation of Navigating the SBC, where churches, state conventions, associations have been empowered by that resource to help their churches better navigate the structure of the SBC, as far as understanding it and knowing where to go to and how to have a voice in the convention. This work has also entailed strengthening relationships with our emerging leaders. We want to position our emerging leaders to be able to take the baton to go further and deeper into the work of SBC Life.
That's good. Now, related to your work in Black church relations, specifically, what are you excited about as we approach the annual meeting?
Yes, I'm excited about a few things. I'm excited about the National African American Fellowship as we gather on Sunday, June 11th. For worship at Franklin Avenue Baptist Church. That gathering takes place at 6:30, and the purpose of it is to not only worship, but celebrate 30 years of participation, cooperation, and partnership around the theme 30 years forward together. And the guest speaker will be none other than the host pastor and former SBC president, Dr. Fred Luter. I'm also excited as NAF gathers on Monday evening at 6:30 for the George Lyle Scholarship Banquet in the Mosaic Room of the Convention Center. Tickets are still available for that at naftogether.org. And I'm excited as we elevate this key figure in Black church life as it relates to missions and spend time in fellowship and celebration. But finally, I'm also excited as we move towards the annual meeting to celebrate our emerging leaders through a luncheon on Tuesday at 12 noon. Our goal is just simply to inspire our emerging leaders towards greater involvement with the convention. And I'm excited that we have reached capacity as far as registration for that event, but very excited that we will have a great group there. And lastly, I'm excited about the private dinner I'll have with the Black Church Collective group. This group is a group of key leaders from Liberian, Ghanaian, and Caribbean island churches, and we are gathering as part of the process for empowering representation of the African diaspora in all of SBC life. And lastly, I'm very excited that we're going to be gathering together with everyone to celebrate the unveiling of the Dr. Fred Luter building at the New Orleans Theological Seminary. So there's some exciting things happening in Black church life, and I'm excited to be a part of it and invite anyone who wants to be a part of these activities to be involved as well.
Sounds like you're going to be a busy guy in New Orleans.
Definitely, absolutely.
Yeah, well, thank you for taking some time.
You're welcome, Brandon. Thank you very much.
A decade ago, more than 7,800 messengers joined in unison in New Orleans to elect Fred Luter as president of our convention.
Fire-breathing, miracle-working pastor of Franklin Avenue Baptist Church, Pastor Fred Luter.
It is my privilege to declare Fred Luter the new president of the Southern Baptist Convention.
To God be the glory for the things that he has done. God bless you. I love you.
In June, messengers from across the country will once again come together on the bayou to celebrate how God is using us to carry out the Great Commission. New Orleans is truly a unique city, boasting one of the greatest culinary experiences in America. The city is rich in history, tradition, and Great Commission partnerships. Join us in New Orleans on June 11th through 14th for the 2023 Annual Meeting and Pastors Conference. Let's celebrate how God is working in and through churches across the U.S. and around the world to accomplish the Great Commission.
Well, Peter Yanis is joining us now. He's been leading the Asian Collective since January of 2020. Peter, thanks for joining us for Baptist Press this week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen over these past few years as you've been in this work.
Well, the past 3 years is exciting among Asian American within our Southern Baptist Convention as we're seeing more participation from different, about 30 plus Asian nationalities that is connected with SBC. And the past 3 years, not only we're engaging the 8 existing Asian National Fellowship, we added 2, which is the Myanmar and then the Asian Next Gen. And we're seeing more and more other Asian churches and Asian groups that wanted to join SBC and engage what's happening around the Great Commission cooperation.
So as you think about those 30 plus groups, what are the size ranges? The smallest group maybe to the largest group, so that folks can understand?
Yeah, it's like the Japanese and the Hmong are, we have around 50, 60 churches to over 1,000 churches among Korean Americans, and so
Wow.
Korean is the largest, and
Okay.
followed by Chinese, and then the Filipino churches.
Okay. Yeah, very helpful. Now, as we approach the annual meeting, share a little bit about why you're excited about the participation of Asian American Southern Baptists in New Orleans this year.
Yeah, the coming June in New Orleans, we have at least 7 Asian events spread throughout the dates of the annual meeting. We'll start on Sunday afternoon, which is the Asian Kickoff. This is a gathering of all Asian pastors and leaders and ministry partners at the same time, and coming to celebrate who we are and how we can work together with all of our churches to cooperatively and reach not only Asian for Jesus Christ, but all nations at the same time. And so this will kick off the Pastors Conference and the 2-day annual meeting at the same time. And so we're excited, as we've done this the past 2 years now. So this will be the 3rd time. And there are 2 new other things happening. During the Asian Kickoff, we will be launching or hosting, actually presenting the newly formed Ethnic Research Network, and many of our Asian researchers and practitioners are joining on that newly formed network to add more participation among other non-Anglo or ethnic researchers, and wanted to use their gift serving our convention of churches. And then followed by the Monday, actually, the Myanmar Baptist Churches USA, they will be having their very first annual meeting. That will be June the 12th in the morning. And it's a 2-year in the making. As soon as we have seen the growth among Burmese and different subgroups from Myanmar, 128 churches all in all. So that prompted us to do something about it and provide them a platform, a format, sort of a national network fellowship among themselves, so that they can work together. There are different subgroups that they don't necessarily work together. And so through the Myanmar Baptist Churches USA within the Southern Baptist Convention, they have a collective voice, and they can envision together and how they can be part of the mission force. And the Asian Next Gen, that's a new group that we created the past 2 years now. This is the 2nd time they will be hosting Asian Pastors and Wives Luncheon. So specifically, this is catered to the 2nd and 3rd generation, led by them too. And so the past 2 years, we have about 100 or so Asian young and emerging pastors that never been involved, never been engaged in the SBC life for many, many years, but they're coming along and excited about this Asian collective network that we created since January of 2020. And Filipino annual meeting, you will expect that on June 12th in the afternoon of Monday, the Filipino National Fellowship, which I led that for the past 8 years. And they continue as a key network working alongside SBC, and they're celebrating their maybe more than 50 years now within the Southern Baptist Convention. And there's new thing that we're going to work with them. It's a partnership, because we're hosting there's a new movie coming up in the month of September, which is called 1521. This is a private screening about the quest for love and freedom. This is a story movie that created by a Filipino American there in Hollywood, and I met him last year. And he offered a private pre-screening for the movie before it hits the theater on September. And so the Filipino National Fellowship and the Asian Collective, the Executive Committee, will be joining force to host them and promote that among Filipino Americans within SBC. And then lastly is the Chinese dinner gathering on Tuesday night. Many other Asian National Fellowship will be having their own annual conference convention offsite, different dates. We used to have the Council of Korean Churches during the annual meeting, but because of some logistics, they stayed in North Carolina. And so we will be missing that over 1,000 attendance every year when they gather together And so we will be missing them in New Orleans for the first time, I believe, or this is the second time.
Yeah. Now, I think, Peter, we need to clarify one thing. Are you in the movie that's going to be premiering?
No.
Okay.
I just happen to be a friend to, the Filipino American producer who is a Christian himself. And so this is exciting. We can promote, a product of our own and led by Asian American Christian.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you for all that you're doing with the Asian Collective. Luis Lopez leads the Hispanic relations portion of the Great Commission Relations and Mobilization team. He's out of the country as we record and unable to join us. But at BaptistPress.com, we've already reported that more than 30 Hispanic pastors have already signed up for crossover events running June 7th through 11th in New Orleans. Crossover is an evangelistic event that takes place each year in the host city of the SBC annual meeting. Volunteers will join with 6 New Orleans area Hispanic churches to canvass the community as they pray with people, share the gospel, and invite lost people to church. The National Hispanic Baptist Network will also get together for a dinner and celebration on Sunday night, June the 11th in the New Orleans Convention Center's Great Hall. You can find complete coverage of the SBC annual meeting at BaptistPress.com. Thanks for watching Baptist Press This Week, sponsored by the College at Southeastern.